Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. This is this should be a very cool morning, a very cool hour for you guys because we get to sit back and listen to these ladies' journeys about where they've been, where they are looking to go. And I'm sure we will be able to identify ourselves and our former selves and hopefully our future selves in some of their journeys that we'll hear about this morning. But before we do, I want to take this opportunity to welcome our online audience because this is being videotaped so that it will be able to be accessible to those who are not able to join us in person and live perpetually in the online environment. So welcome to you guys. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time to check out this video. At this time, I am going to invite Ryan Pierce to the podium because it is the College of Business and Technology who is partnering today with our Louisiana Business and Professional Women's Organization for this part of the state, where Angie Jackson is the president, and you'll hear from her in just a moment. But these ladies, for the exception of Dr. Wendy Tostenson, are members of BPW, and they will be more formally addressed in just a minute. Ryan?
Thank you so very much. Again, Ryan Pierce, Division Chair, School of Business and Technology. It's so wonderful to have the audience here. It's so wonderful to have the members of BPW here as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And in the School of Business and Tech, we really want to push entrepreneurship. That's a big push for us. And so this right here, this event is gonna, it really is a great benefit to our students, those who are going to be watching this later on, those that couldn't join right now, of course, and for those that are to come to the live event. We really appreciate you guys choosing LDCC as a place to host this event. So thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to Darian.
Awesome, thank you, Ryan. And it's great because it's not it's for our students, but it's for any woman because we are women and we identify with one another. And sometimes it feels like you're in the rat race by yourself, and it is helpful when you know that other people can identify with your challenges and with your triumphs. At this time, we're going to invite Angie Jackson to the podium, president of our BPW, of which I am also a member.
Thank you, Darian. Thank you, Louisiana Delta Community College, for allowing us to be part of this discussion this morning and being on the panel. I just want to share with you a little bit about the history of National Business Women's Week that we are celebrating this week. And the concept of National Business Women's Week originated with Edna Dot Patridge, the Executive Secretary of National Federation of Business and Professional Women. She was the secretary from 1924 to 1927. The first annual observance was held on April 15th, 1928, when the national president opened the week with a nationally broadcast speech. She stated that the purpose of the week was to focus public attention on a better businesswoman for a better business world. From this early effort, National Business Women's Week has grown into a nationwide salute to all working women. The program for the first observance included Legislative Day, devoted to national, state, and local legislation of interest to women. Education Day, devoted to emphasizing the need for equitable educational opportunities. Club Rally Day was used to bring in prospective new members, and there was a Community Day honoring leaders in the community. We also included a Goodwill Day devoted with working with other women's organizations. And if you know anything about BPW in the Monroe, West Monroe area, that we are an organization that like to collaborate with other entities. In 1938, National Business Women's Week was moved to the third full week of October. And then US President Herbert Hoover was the first president to issue a letter recognizing National Business Women's Week and the contributions and achievements of working women. The celebration of National Business Women's Week has helped to promote leadership roles for women and to increase opportunities for their advancement professionally and personally. It is a great opportunity to recognize and highlight the progress women have made as business owners and entrepreneurs. Today, there are 7.2 million majority-owned, privately held women-owned businesses in the United States, and they employ over 7.3 million people and generate over $1.1 trillion in sales. And you could just imagine just about 20 years ago, we would have to have a male co-signer in order to get a loan, just 20 years ago. And so we are talking about just roughly around 2000. To tell you a little bit about our local organization, we have been in existence since 1920, just 1 year after the National Federation was formed. And again, I mentioned we do have a rich history in the Monroe West Monroe area. Our members have access to information to keep them current on issues and challenges in the workplace and the community at large. Professional development events such as workshops and webinars help our members to keep their fingers on the pulse of current business trends. We provide career advancement scholarships through the ULM and LSU foundations, and there's also a member-only scholarship administered by our state organization. And the information on that can be found on our state and local websites. We are a nonpartisan organization, but we do make our voices heard in providing evidence-based research to advocate for successful workplace policies that benefit employees and employers alike. The entire effort of empowering women is to help them to exercise their rights in decision-making at all levels, both within and both within and outside of the workforce, and enable them to be treated as equal partners in society. To be that equal partner, they must have access to pay equity and retirement equity. They must have access to equal opportunities in the workplace as well as corporate boards, and access to the business enterprise procurement and capital for entrepreneurial activity is a must. So again, I want to thank Darian Atkins and the Louisiana Delta Community College for allowing us to be part of this panel discussion this morning. Thank you.
Angie. I want to introduce our members of the panel this morning, of which you'll have an opportunity to be able to hear. In fact, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. Let's start right here with Shirley, and you can pass your mic down, Shirley.
Good morning. I'm Shirley Stewart, and I presently serve as the Marketing Director and Director of Administration for the Monroe Regional Airport.
I'm Jamie Mays, and I'm the owner of Jamie Mays Educational Consulting and Literacy Services, LLC.
Good morning. My name is Beverly Lewis. I'm Director of Economic Development, Community Initiatives, and Spiritual Care at Oshner LSU Health Monroe Medical Center.
Good morning. My name is Latito Hutchinson. I'm the Vice President of Communications and Community Engagement for JP Morgan Chase Home Lending Site here in Monroe.
Hey y'all, my name is Wendy Tostenson. I am the Vice Chancellor of Education and Student Services here at Louisiana Delta Community College.
Hello, everyone. I am Vicki Crist. I am the Program Assessment Analyst at ULM College of Pharmacy, and I'm also the Treasurer for the Monroe West Monroe Business and Professional Women's Organization.
Good morning. I'm Doretha Bennett. I'm the Executive Director of the Federal Program for Washita Parish Police Jury. I'm over the Workforce Program, the Washita Parish Housing Program, and other small federal programs in Washita Parish.
All right, awesome. So you know who they are. So let's find out a little bit more about their journeys. I have some questions that have already been posed to me. Audience, if there is a question that you have that you want to ask any particular member of the panel, just raise your hand and I'll acknowledge you and give you that opportunity. This is a chance for us to kind of have a dialogue. So it's not just, we're not in a classroom, it's not lecture. This is a chance to ask some of those questions that you're curious about other people's journeys. So relax and let's feel free. All right. So first question, panelist, what do you think helped you most to make a career as a woman? We all know we have challenges in some circuits, but what has helped you most? Everyone doesn't have to provide an answer, although you can and would encourage you to. But if there's any particular panelist or panelist that wants to give an answer, please. What has helped you most?
Well, I'll share. I'll start us off. Speaking up.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the biggest thing that has helped me in my career, especially if you're young but you're passionate about what you do and you're smart and you know your stuff. Then speak up for yourself and be your biggest cheerleader. Advocate for yourself. So doing that for myself and not expecting someone else to do it for me has been the biggest thing that's helped me in my career.
In that same vein, Latito, what helped you build confidence to be able to do that? Because I would think that if there was any hesitation to speaking up for yourselves, there would be a confidence issue, and not everyone feels that confident in themselves to be able to do that. So, and other panelists, you all can help share if there's something that you practiced or have done or have been told that helped you overcome your confidence barriers.
Well, I know speaking as an employer and an employee, we always say, is it skill or is it will? When we're looking for someone to promote or we're thinking about promoting someone. So thinking about that for myself, it has to be skill and will. I don't want to go toot my own horn if I really don't know what I'm talking about. So part of me having that confidence was really knowing my stuff, really doing my homework, working hard to know whatever business I'm in, to try to be as much of an expert, the subject matter expert as I can be. So that way, when I go to speak up in a room, to open my mouth to speak, I can speak confidently because I know I've done my homework, I've done my research, I know my stuff. Right? I know my stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be perfect. I just have to know that I really have studied, I've researched, I know what I'm talking about. And then if I get into a room and I speak up and I'm off and I don't know as much as I thought I knew, okay, well, learning opportunity. And next time I'll do better. But that was a big part of it, is doing my homework and then just being around people that encourage you to speak up. That, people that say, hey, don't worry about your age. You're in this room for a reason. Don't worry about whatever socioeconomic status. Don't worry about the fact that you're a woman, just because maybe you're in a room full of men. Anything like that, just being around other positive people that encourage me.
You said some good stuff there, and I was trying to remember in my brain. I'm getting older. All of the things that I wanted to acknowledge, but you spoke to credibility, knowing what and being credible. When you don't have to be perfect, and when you find yourself being imperfect, which should not be big news to any of us because we are. Humility goes a long way, and it doesn't mean you're a doormat. It just means that you're resolute in that you're imperfect, but you can also fix and work on yourself. And golly, that last thing I cannot remember, but that was good. Thank you.
I think also being authentic, being who
Mhm.
you really are. From a very young age, I was told I was too energetic, I'm too happy, people won't take me seriously. but that's really who I am. And so for me to change who I am and change my dynamics to fit into somebody else's mold because I'm too outgoing or I'm too effervescent, that doesn't make any sense. So being who you are and being authentic and being okay with that, I think that that gives you that self-confidence because when you try to be someone you're not, you miss the mark often and people can tell, and then they don't necessarily believe you or trust you. But when you're truly authentic to who you are, and if you're passionate about what you're doing, people will see that and will respect that. But also giving yourself a sense of grace and knowing that you are going to be put in situations that are uncomfortable or not where you want to be, that you've got to figure out and navigate in a world that is not necessarily yours. But that's what we do best. And I think that we can't undervalue or underestimate who we are as women. And that small little voice inside of you, listen to her. She is there for a reason.
Yeah.
She really is.
Yeah. Good deal. That's good. That is so important. I think that's foundational, even knowing who you are and being confident, being okay, because a lot of times as women, we struggle with just being okay with who we are. The most confident person that you see, the most confident, and I'm make it personal, the most confident woman that you see, have some things that she doesn't feel so confident about. But the ability to be okay in spite of our imperfections is major, and it should be something that we're striving towards to be a part of our foundation. Thanks, Dr. Toskinson. Anyone else?
I have to say, it's been my life experiences. Growing up with a single mom, living in a housing project, I was told at a very young age, things that you can do, and I was driven. And it was, you will succeed, and this is how you will have to do it. And at that time, I really took into consideration everything that the older and wiser generation village that were raising me told me. I used to suffer with just horrible stomach ache when I was really young, like 9. The doctor said, it's because you're not expressing yourself. And I said, that's all I have to do is talk and I won't have that. I have been on a roll ever since. And I mean, literally, I have been on a roll. So knowing that guided me as well. When I was a sophomore in high school, in the 10th grade, homeroom, a new student came and we were sitting in classroom. I'm sitting like this and she's facing me. She had a massive heart attack. I had no idea what was going on. None of us did. And she slid out of her chair and I moved my chair and I just watched her. And the nurse came over and then she was doing CPR. To me, it was just pumping on the chest and breathing in her mouth. And I asked her, did she make it? And she gave that defeated look. I was just devastated. And I asked her, I said, well, could I have saved her? Could I have pumped on her chest and breathed in her mouth? And that would have saved her? She said, mm-hmm. I said, look, sign me up. I want to be in your nursing class.
Wow.
The 11th and 12th grade, that's what I was, LPN school and regular high school. Because right there, I realized that was my purpose, is to save and do as much as I can to help whomever I can. So that coupled with talking, I just believe that that was my purpose, was to help people. And that gave me confidence. Now I've lost it along the way, but then I had to go back and remember my purpose. So I want to say that that's who made me what I am today, with confidence. And I'm on a mission, and that mission is a ministry to save and do all that I can, no matter what. And I have to just say that I pray about everything, literally. And as I kept living, I realized what those biblical scriptures meant. I really can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I really can. And I really have done and will continue. There is nothing I have done on my own. So I have to say my faith, my upbringing, and at that time, you had to do something back then. I graduated from high school in 1978. So that tells you about my age. That was a time when you were obedient. You listened and there was no option. You had to do something. You had to make something of yourself. So I just felt like that gave me confidence along the way, was to remember my purpose and to remember that I'm strong. I'm supposed to do this. And God will lead me down the path that I need to go. So that's mine.
That's great. And you spoke about a village, your village and how important that village was to you, Beverly. And so I'm going to segue into this question. It's kind of a three-part question. Ladies, how important are mentors in your life? What should you look for in a mentor? Are you ever too old for a mentor or too young?
So I'll start by saying that I believe mentorship is extremely important, and it's definitely something that I've promoted throughout my career. Um, I've had mentors my entire life. So um, similar to what Ms. Beverly said, I grew up in the housing projects as well. And I'm actually originally from DeRidder, Louisiana. So what I was very fortunate to have would be women, especially along the way, who encouraged me, who saw my gifts and talents and created spaces where I could continue to develop those things. In high school, having teachers that did things like allow me to write and direct a play as a student, host fundraisers and push our organization to raise like $5,000 20 years ago, was because of the type of mentorship that I had, and people who encouraged me to push toward higher levels of success. High school was where I started speaking, and 22 years later, I'm still working in that sector. As a matter of fact, it's why I spent 13 years as a high school educator. It's why I became a consultant. It's why I provide speaking services now, and it's the motivation behind continuing to provide services that uplift the voices of women and people of color. And as an adult, that hasn't changed, especially when you enter the business sector, because there's always room for learning, whether it's technology, whether it's how to increase your finances, whether it's how to improve your skill, or just how to grow from a spiritual aspect. There's always room for growth. So in mentorship, it gives you ability to connect with people who share those same visions as well, and who have more experiences than you do, and can help you keep your mind geared towards success, and even to remain motivated, because we live in an era where you face a lot of challenges. And sometimes, especially working in the entrepreneurship field, you have mornings where you wake up and you question, do I want to keep going with this road, or do I want to throw it in the towel? Yeah. And so those mentors are vital in helping you to move forward with that path. I will say that as I've continued to pursue my career as a writer, for many years I was afraid, because in Louisiana, I haven't seen a lot of women writers make it to an international platform, especially Black women writers. And so one of the biggest things I've been able to do in the past 2 years was connect with a Black woman writer from Louisiana who is now in Los Angeles, editor-in-chief of a magazine, and a college friend who is working as a professional editor. And so through their mentorship, I have gained the confidence to pursue my dreams on a bigger platform. So that's the benefit of mentorship. I also have mentored others along the pathway in efforts to pass down those same valuable tools and resources. So I think that's very important to us.
That is awesome.
I've been very fortunate with mentors. I started out in my home. My great grandmother raised me. So all along the way, I've had mentors in whatever stage of my life I was in. For my great grandmother, of course, like Miss Lewis on the end, she was a God-fearing woman. So she taught me the value of prayer and holding on to your faith. She also was not afforded the opportunity to gain the educational level she wanted to. But my mom and my sisters and those people, we weren't afforded the opportunity to say no. I started out early as a mother, and at that time I had a full scholarship to Tech and a partial scholarship to Southern University. And of course, I had always wanted to go to Southern. So, but because I had just had my son, I decided I was going to sit out the first semester. That was not going to happen. She literally packed my things that Sunday while I was at church, called Reverend Brass, who at that time was in law school at Southern. And at 7:30 that night, when I thought I would be watching television, I was on my way to Baton Rouge. And then there's my godmother, who's first cousin to Emily Post. So I was able, so she prepared me for the outhouse or the White House. It didn't matter to her. She wanted me to be prepared. And then I don't know how many of you, because Miss Beverly says, and I'm 6 years older than she is, so y'all figure that out. So, but there was a the owners of Howard Griffin, and some of us in here may be too young to remember. Bertie Griffin was really a support system for me. And I was always blessed. It just looked like when there was a time when I wanted to throw in the tile, there was somebody to say, no, listen, this is your path. This is your purpose. Have passion. If you know what your purpose is, you got to have passion in your purpose. Because if you don't, the smallest of things will derail where you want to go. So many of us at at the two tables have had, the gender issues with you're not supposed to be at this table. You're not supposed to be doing this, but you've got to believe. And I think it was Wendy who said, you've got to know your skill. You got to know your purpose. You got to have passion. And whatever you do, don't lose your faith. Get up every day knowing I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
So I'll share that mentors come into your life when you don't want them and you're not ready for them and you may be resistant. But lean into that, lean into those spaces that make you uncomfortable, that'll make you better. It is easy to stay the same. It is difficult when we are challenged and we are faced with those next steps in that crossroad and somebody packs your bag and said, nope, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to do this. Mm-hmm. Those people are placed in your life for a specific reason. You have gifts and talents that other people see, but because they're your gifts and talents, you don't always recognize them because they come easy to you. But those are gifts, and those are things that you are meant to utilize and give back and to grow. And I'm a very firm believer that people are watching us when we don't know that. And so you are giving to others even when you don't recognize it. You are affirming in them who they are and who they can become, even when you don't know it. They are watching you. And it's not when it's easy, it's when it's hard. It's when things are difficult and we're challenged and we've got to make hard decisions that people are watching what you're going to do the most. Yeah. And it matters the most to them because you're instilling in them that they can. Yeah. My mom is just amazing and she would never lie to me. And so she has always told me at my best or at my worst, I beat most people's best. And since she would never lie to me, I have used that lots of times when I know I was at my worst and it helped me through. But know that there are people that will pour into you and give to you, but you have to seek them out. It is your responsibility to. If you want to move forward, find the people that you want to be most like and surround yourself with them. Don't surround yourself with the people that are where you already are, unless that's where you want to stay.
Powerful. Good. This question is for every member on the panel. What was one of the most challenging predicaments that you faced? Could be a personal challenge or a professional challenge. And how did you navigate through it? Sounds like a job interview question.
Could y'all hear me?
There we go.
Oh, thinking back over my career as a young African American woman, I've always been taught you have to go by the book. You don't deviate. If you go by the book, you go by the rules, you go by the regulations, policy driven, then you can't go wrong because that's your guide. But if you step outside of that, you're on your own. So I always go by the book. I'm just so policy driven. Um, just I was a head nurse or director of nurses in a small hospital setting, and I'm by the book. And I had a young lady who came in and just wanted to just come and go as she pleased, and decide. And they had been doing this in this area, in this small facility, and I just couldn't understand that there are rules, and you just don't walk off when you feel like it and leave your patients. I'm a nurse. You can't do that, But that was like a practice. So, Miss by the book, here I am working in an area where it was just pretty laid back, and they just did whatever. Well, I took her time card. So when she came in the next day, she couldn't clock in. She was fired. That's all. You abandon your patient. That's job abandonment. And so there was a big to do about that. And I was told that some Klansmen would be coming to visit me. Here I am thinking I can do all things and knowing. I said, bring it on. I went by the book. So I'm going to stand on what was right. And I stood on what was right. And I didn't change. And the CEO called me and say, do you want to think about it? I'm like, no. She abandoned her patients. You can go to state board rules and regs. You can look at policy and procedure. If you don't have one, we need to devise it. But job abandonment is crucial. And especially when you're talking about somebody's life. You don't get to play with somebody else's life. You really don't. So I stood my grounds. That night when I got off, I was driven off the road. I was run slept off the road. It was a meeting that was called. I was not afraid, none whatsoever. I stood my ground. I went by the book. And in my heart, I know that I was doing the right thing because this is a ministry. You don't just walk off from your patients and just do that. So that was a very challenging time. But for whatever reason, it was fear and it was, you did the right thing. So stand proud. And you will not bend and change the rules because somebody's trying to force you to. So, and everything worked out. Anyway, that was mine.
Wow. That was courage and faith.
So I'll add one of the biggest challenges that I faced is socioeconomic challenges. I live in Bastrop. I'm from Bastrop. I made straight A's in high school, so I know going to college was my plan. I knew intelligence wise, like that was not going to even be an issue, but I got married young at 18, like graduated in May and got married in July and started a family. And so I was very ambitious that I could do, I'm superwoman and I can have a family and I can go to college but college was challenging. And for those of you who are that non-traditional student, which I know, Delta Community College, we may have many non-traditional students. That can be very hard. I was living in Bastrop, going to school here in Monroe. I did not have a car. I did not have a phone. People had cell phones, but I was broke. So I didn't have a phone, I didn't have a car, and yet I have to be, and I had a baby and a husband and a job. And I still had to be at class every Tuesday and Thursday all day. And so, part of it, I've never struggled with the fact that what's my, my purpose. That part kind of came natural. What you do well, and I just identified it as, this is my purpose in Christ. This is what he wants me to do, so go do it. But doing it is not easy. And so getting to school every day, just leaning on other people and asking for help, I just had to get a ride. I had to be dropped off at ULM at 6 o'clock in the morning before the school even opens. It's dark on campus. There are no rooms unlocked. The janitor had to open up the room at the pharmacy building for me so I could go sit in, pregnant belly this big, sit on the couch and wait until class is open, because I get emotional talking about it, but because that's when my stepdad worked construction. And so they have to be at work at 6 o'clock. So that was my ride. He's coming to Monroe, drop me off at 6 o'clock. And then in the evening, it's whenever somebody can pick me up. No excuses. Life is hard. It's not easy. Whatever you want to do, just it's going to be nothing worth having is going to be easy, but you can do it. And if anybody's coming to you with excuses, well, I don't have this and I don't that, so make it happen, make it work, figure it out. Ask for help if you need help, but figure it out. There are plenty of people that have done so. And when you look and you wonder how that person got to where they are, don't assume it was given to them.
So I would say that my greatest challenge as a businesswoman was probably becoming a parent. I'm a single mom, and even that experience turned out to be a big challenging for me because we live in the Bible Belt. And so by the time I realized that I was going to be a single parent, people give you looks. People say things, they make comments. You would think that in the 21st century, we've moved past that, but society has not. And at this time, I was teaching high school. So I also felt disappointed in myself. And so it took a big hit on my self-confidence to share messages with others. Despite all the work I'd done, it still created a sense of a feeling that I didn't deserve to keep doing the things that I love doing. And so initially after I had my son, I took a back seat on a lot of things because I just felt that there wasn't a place where I deserved to feel proud of myself anymore. Even though I had written 3 books, my resume had spoken for itself. Sometimes the challenge is that we let what other people make us feel affect how we get to move forward. But when we talk about spirituality, I've been able to know what my purpose and my calling is since I was a child. And I've been blessed to use that to guide my path and to impact the lives of others. And no matter how much I tried to take a back seat, the phone was still calling. The phone was still ringing, and I could not get rest. During my 8th month of pregnancy, I published another book. And then after I had my son, I wrote another book. And then I went back to school to get another degree when he was a toddler. So I knew that the commitment I had to serving mankind was bigger than any identity that other people tried to associate with me. And that even in having my son and becoming a single parent, there was a purpose in that too. Because I had been able to talk to single mothers, I had been able to guide my students, but I could not speak from firsthand experience other than growing up in a single parent home. And so then that experience became the thing that empowered me. And now I have been able to train my son to become a speaker. And he is able to get on the stage. And so I can also share those things with other parents to help them feel empowered and move forward. And so what looked like a challenge before has actually been probably the best lesson and the most valuable experience in my life as a woman.
Yeah, that's because you didn't allow yourself to stay there. You know, mistakes are something that we do. It's not who we are, but a lot of times we take it on as our identity and we let shame hold us back in spaces that weren't meant for us. So it was great that you found a way to move beyond that and not let that control your life.
Story I'm about to tell is over 25, almost 30 years old. So I don't want anyone to try to put names to this. I work for the parish and I hadn't been there a long time. Yeah, I guess I had been there about 7, 8 years. And one of the head staff gentlemen, they retired and they left and I applied for the job. And I was called in and talked with by some other bosses. They're no longer living, so I don't have to put names with it. So it's not none of the current ones. I noticed you recording me. I want to make sure I go on record, making sure it's not none of the current ones, because I'm still working. And I applied for the job. They asked me why I applied. I explained that I trained and been working with the person that was there. They said, well, I don't think Washita Parish is ready for a minority at this time. I said, that's fine. So I said, okay, I went back. My personality make you think I'm really quiet. I am quiet. I don't speak. I learned to listen. Because when you listen, you get further in life than always talking. Because some people just talk for just to talk. So I waited about a week, and I knew they was going to come back because I didn't send my application. So I got a call in. So this time it was like, you can have the job, and they offer you money to stay in that position that you're currently in. I looked, I'm like, I know what happened to the first voter registration person that was there. Like you remember, Miss McFarland. So I said, it was over 20 grand. That's 20 some years ago. I'm like, oh, that would be a lot of money. So that's why I think about it, because I want them to sweat. Because I already know that I didn't care about a towel. I really want the money. So it was like over the years, those guys eventually they did leave. And it's like I did get the money. I accepted the money, not the position, because I would accept the position, knowing Washita Parish like we know it to be at that time, that I probably wouldn't have stayed there 6 months in that position. So it's better to take the money, keep the job. And now I'm the executive director and making way, way more than what I thought I would ever make. So that was one of those stories.
Wow. Thank you.
I'm not one to, I'm one of the listeners. I'm not a big talker unless I get to know you. But I got to say, I've had a lot of challenges in my life. I lost my mom to cancer at an early age and came to live in Union. Well, I've always lived in Union Parish, but came to live in Downsville. And then later on, got married, had a child, and then lost my husband to an accident. And so, and he had always told me I needed to go back to school to get my technology degree. And because I was always good with computers. And so that was a tough challenge for me because here I was, a widow at 34 years old, had a 10-year-old son. And I was like, what am I going to do? And then I heard his voice saying, Vicky, go back to school and get your doggone computer degree. And so I said, okay, I did. I went back, I went to tech and did a 4-year degree in 3 years and started at ULM. And so but as I said, there are many, many challenges, but I guess that was my biggest challenge is to be a widow and a single mom and to go back to school while you were trying to do all that at the same time. So ladies, it's never too late to go back and work on that dream and just make up your mind that you're going to do it.
Hey, Vicky, before you turn the mic over, uh, how did you feel about the thought of going back to school at 34?
Oh my goodness, I was terrified. And all these kids you're looking at and you're going, they all look at you like your mama. And you're like, I'm just going back to school to get my education. But inevitably, it brought me out of my comfort zone because somehow in every group we ever did, guess who got to be the leader of the group? Because I just decided, hey, I'm one of those people that I'm not going to sit back and say, what do we do? I'm going to say, okay, here's our project. We have to get it done because I'm not going to get an F in this class. So, and so they would say, okay, you get to be the leader. And I'm like, okay, but y'all better get ready to work because I'm here to work. I'm getting an A in this class.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for sharing. Next question. So we're almost wrapping up. Next question. How would companies benefit, or why would companies or organizations benefit for having women at the table? How would they benefit by having women at the table?
Well, I can answer that one. We women, we know how to multitask. We can juggle 9 million things at one time. And we just bring a different perspective to the table. And then we need more women in the top. I know I have a boss that is a woman, and I'm telling you, they turn everything over to her because she goes in there, she knows what she wants, and she makes sure she knows how to do it, and she gets the job done.
We also think out the box. We are willing to try different things. You've got to be able to have some non-successes to have successes. You
It's
know,
wisdom.
you're not married. I tell the staff all the time, we're not married to this. So if it doesn't work, we say, okay, well, let's try plan B. And so that's how we think. Women are people who take nothing and make something from, because that's what we've always had to do. And so I think that if more of us are sitting in the CEO chairs and sharing, and the other thing is embracing each other. A lot of times we don't embrace each other. Sometimes as women, we are our own worst enemies. If we can get past jealousy, why her and I, because it's her time. All life is about timing. Timing is everything. And if you just remain steadfast and unmovable, become skilled, know who you are, your time comes. But I think as we move forward as women, what we've got to do is I've got to reach and get Jamie. Jamie has everything in place. She may just need somebody to open another door for her. And there are enough of us in these rooms who've been pioneers. We've opened doors for others. We've worked that path so many times. So I think in organizations, if we embrace, encourage, and move each other along, I think things will be much, much better. And you'll have so many successful companies, we won't know what to do in Morehouse and Washington Ferry.
All right, Shirley, you dipped into my closing question. You're that good. Okay, anyone else?
I want to say representation matters. So when you think about why would it benefit an organization to have women at the top, representation matters. And that applies to everything that, whatever audience that an organization is serving, their senior leadership should represent that audience. So representation, it matters.
Just have to take this from Chaka Khan. We're every woman. We are resilient. We are dependable. We figure it out. We know how to get it done. And the women's movement empowers, we empower one another. We are strong. No, it's just not our first answer. I mean, it's like, well, let's figure out how to get it done. And it's everything that these ladies have already said. But we have inner strength as well. We've always had to make it work, no matter what. But what maybe some didn't count on was us going beyond where you thought we should have stayed.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
Yeah.
And we moved forward, and we will continue to move forward because we are every woman. We have that inner drive, and we know how to make it work. We know how to think outside of the box. We have that power, and we do empower one another.
I think that representation is so important, but I think the skill set that women serve that is often underlooked is we're already doing the jobs.
Oh, yes, Lord.
We're already doing the jobs. We figure out how to make $1 last for 2 weeks because we had to. We figure out how to make the day have 29 hours when everybody else only has 24. We figure out how to handle more in a day or a week than other people handle in months or years. Because for us, no's not an option. It's a yes. We've got to get it completed. We have to get it done. We have to do it better, brighter, stronger than anybody else. And it still goes unnoticed. You're already doing the job. Don't underestimate who you are and the place you're at now. It is specifically where you are supposed to be today. But take the opportunity to step in and represent.
Closing question, and I would like an answer from all of the panelists. Shirley spoke some to how women should support other women in the workplace. What should we expect of men in the workplace? What should be their roles in regards to women in the workplace? What do we need them to do? How do we need them to think or to view women in the workplace?
Not become threatened. Because so often in the workplace, men are threatened by just our mere presence in a lot of times. My coworker and I laugh a lot about they're trying to figure something out and we're not included. And then when they've hit the wall several times, they come back and, oh, we didn't think about it from that perspective. We're not here to be your enemy. This is a team effort. I think men have got to start to think of in a team effort concept, because so often, because of the women's movement that's going on at this point, and they feel like everything is about women being empowered. Embrace the empowerment. It's not about fighting you. It is about encouraging you. So many times women are at the footstool of your success in the first place, which is we're doing it. We're doing the work. So many times you're just getting the glory. So just accept us for who we are. Beverly said, because we have an inner strength that a lot of times men, if they possess it, won't use it. They become, but we are people who are not going to be defeated. We are going to do whatever it takes. 24 to 29 hours, whether that means we're going to miss a meal, whatever we're going to do, we're going to get it done. And we are here, listen, for those of us who are Bible scholars, the word says that we are here to be a help meet. Accept us as help meets. Embrace us as help meets. And let's move forward, because most times, most of us don't care about who gets the credit. We just want to get it done because the team looks good when it's done. So it doesn't matter whether or not you
Thank you. That's very good.
I think that we have to, that the mindset has to be the goal comes first. And if we can shift our mindsets to putting the goal and the mission of the business or company first, it allows us to shift our mindsets back on those barriers that prevent us from seeing everybody as an active participant in supporting the mission and achieving the goal. And so that is part of conditioning, because the history of our country is founded on gender. It is founded on social class. It is founded on race. And so in order to work through those mindsets and mind frames, we have to begin by going back to the drawing board and putting the mission of businesses and the goal first. And then we can learn how to condition ourselves not to look at it according to whether that person is my competition, because then that's whenever our biases start coming into play and prohibit us from allowing the team to succeed at its best.
Good.
What men need to do in the workforce or in the workplace is respect us, respect who we are, respect what we bring to the table, respect that we're on the same team, and give us the autonomy to do what we do best. And what people don't realize, what is not realized, is that when I succeed, you succeed. You know, when I make it better, it's better for all. It's not better for me. It's better for all, the whole team. So I think once they really embrace respect and value and give us that autonomy, I don't have to work under you to get it done. You just give it to me, and I can get it done. And they need to respect that.
As well as women is working together and how we should work together in a workplace. So all of my supervision, most of them more females. And I think if we could just speak to each other and talk to each other instead of, and they'll come to the director and they'll talk about their co-worker. And I'm looking like, but I just see you all talking. I just seen you all go to lunch together. And it's so much of, if you're going to talk to a person, you can look at them every day, straight in their eyes. You should be able to have a conversation with, say, hey, these are things that I see that bother me. And try to work together and not try to do things to manipulate and hurt the other person in the workplace. That's one of the biggest things that I see. It's not just in where I work. You can just listen and you can see someone looking at you, talking with you, and they doing things. It'll be just like we work together and she go and tell someone, oh, you shouldn't work with her, because that may be how our personality, we don't really care about each other, but we just have to deal with each other. But instead of me telling her what bothered me, we go and complain to the boss. That's one of the biggest things that females could just stop doing that. We won't have to worry about what the men's doing. Because you think about the men, see us doing it to each other, what you think? I mean, I'm serious. I could say more. I can get a kind of emotional about that part because I see it every day. I see it every day. Not even in your own organization. You can see it outside your organization. People say, "Oh, Miss Ben, you don't really know me." Most people say, "Oh, she's quiet." She don't. Yes, I do. I'm a reader. That's one thing. Is a question on here. How can you concede to get ahead? You have to learn to listen. You definitely got to read for yourself. Never allow someone to tell you what's going on in an article or any book. Read for yourself. Listen, because if you listen, y'all was here today listening. If you listen a little more, you should be able to tell us something about ourselves. I listen. When I'm around these round tables, most of the time I stop attending because of what I said earlier. It's this dog eat dog world, and I don't like that. I'm straight. So that's why I don't talk as much. Because I'm listening. If I'm sitting around and I'm listening at a table, I'm gonna know you, everything about you that I need to know. And I have to smile because they pay me to be nice. The second meeting, I'm like, woo, I'm just there. It's wasting my time because everybody's cutting each other down. But as females, if you're working with someone, the best thing you can do is just say to that person, hey, Lisa, this is not working for me. This is the things they're doing. Because you're going to lunch with them and laughing and talking with them anyway. I prefer you to tell me. I'm one that you can tell. And if you want to get on that other side that people think I'm so quiet, don't tell me the truth and do something behind my back. Because eventually someone's going to tell you. So you might as well tell the person that way they're not getting it second hand or third hand. If we as females would do that, we will be up here. We won't have that many men in the leadership position.
You know, Beverly talked about what we wanted, what we need from men is respect. Aretha just brought it home. We need to respect ourselves and one another as women. Very sad. That she started off kind of quiet, and then she got a little bass in her voice. I think she could have been preaching if we had given her another 10 minutes. Vicki, did you have anything to add to that? What we should, what can we expect of men?
Well, I kind of go along with Beverly's thing. That and Dorothea's, because respect. We all need to demand respect from our coworkers, as in women. I'm one of those direct people too. If you don't like me, fine, let me know it. But I'm one of those people that will, in the workplace or in an organization, if I know something and you want to know knowledge about it, I'll be glad to help you. Just let me know what it is and I will share that knowledge with you, because we all know knowledge is power. And I agree totally with Dorothea on the part about just don't go by what somebody else says. When you hear something, double check your facts. That, you learn everything about it and form your own opinion on what's going on. And so we need respect with each other as coworkers, and we need to demand respect from the men and women in our workforce.
Good.
I've been very fortunate in my life that I have been surrounded by men who encouraged me and believed in me. I have people who were telling me that I could do things when other people told me I could not. So, what I encourage, I have two sons, and I have two goals for them to treat women with respect and to encourage the women in their lives to become more powerful than they ever could stand to be around them. Because the fact is, if we teach our children to respect each other and where we all can go and push each other forward, we'll all be better. And so for me, it's more of let's all encourage each other to be the very best human we possibly can be. And then that space is created for us all to excel. Not just men, not just women, but all of us together are pushing each other forward.
It's just equality. Um, if men could look at their female counterparts as equals, uh, it really doesn't matter whether whether you're male, female, you have a different gender identity, black, white. If we could just look at each other as humans and judge that person by by their character, by the skills that they bring to the table, by the expertise that they bring to the table, by the passion that they bring for that whatever they're doing, by the assets that women bring, their assets that they bring to the table. you know, judging by those things, if we just looked at each other as humans, then it really that would help everything. When it comes to a promotion, it wouldn't, or there's some kind of opportunity, it really wouldn't matter then if it's a man or a woman or another gender identity, because it would be the best person for that role. You would be looking at the whole person and if that person is the best fit. So that's what I would encourage for men in the workplace, is just to look at us as equals, as humans, um, and judge us in that manner.
That is awesome. We've reached our time. This has been an incredible hour, and I am thankful for the partnership of Business and Professional Women's with the College of Business and Technology here at Louisiana Delta Community College. This was really, really good, ladies. Thank you for being willing to open yourselves and your lives to us and to our audiences in order to help other women along their journeys. I'm sure that you have touched many, many people in this, and not just women. Hopefully some guys got this too. We bring different skill sets to the table as genders and as individuals. And one of the resounding points that came out of this is respect. We can respect that and then make allowance for each other's faults when we miss the mark or when we don't hit it just the way that we should, and then learn to be gracious and kind to ourselves. We do that by letting humility lead and resolvedness within ourselves, that we're okay even when we stumble. Doesn't have to mean the end. We're resilient by nature. And we should really practice embracing all of who we are, because if we're not embracing all of who we are and being okay with that, it's a hard sell to anyone else. So ladies, thank you once again for being present and participatory and invaluable. You all are phenomenal women, as well as all of you here with us and all of you who are joining us by video. Thank you.